All right, everyone, welcome back to class. This is Professor Control Space. This is our 11th lecture on the study of terrorism in modern human societies. Today, we'll be discussing extremist movements throughout the 20th and 21st centuries and their correlation to the video game character Nicole from Zenless Zone Zero. Before we get started, I would like to lay down a couple of groundwork bits of information. The term extremism gets thrown around a lot, especially in our current societal environment, both with accurate and inaccurate connotations. But for the purposes of this lecture, the term is defined by movements that operate outside political and societal norms. I'd also like to define Nicole. She is very cute and bratty. With this research, we have found evidence and correlation that links Nicole to certain extremist organizations, both for the purposes of using that organization for her own benefit and also participating in their activities because of shared beliefs and ideology. With that said, I would like to move on to my first example here. Nicole's involvement in the 2021 Portland Proud Boys March. Two main points we're going to be hitting in this chapter. We have discovered leaked phone calls between Nicole and Portland chapter leader Ethan Ordine. These transcripts were released by the FBI during the Ethan hearings. And the second one is the Cutting Hair's participation in the Portland Proud Boys March. Due to on-the-ground research from the Cutting Hair's Pacific Northwest investigation team, it has recently surfaced that Nicole was involved in the 2021 Portland Proud Boys March. We have gathered leaked transcripts from phone calls between Portland Proud Boys chapter leader Ethan Nordine and Nicole Demara of the Cunning Hairs. Footage and photos released by the FBI shortly after the march provides clear evidence of the Cunning Hairs and their activities during this march. These are the leaked phone call transcripts, as you can see down here in the bottom right. Transcripts released from Multnomah County Circuit Court, 4th Judicial District reveals talks between Nicole and Ethan. From what we can see here, it is records of Ethan commissioning the Cunning Hairs for a mission during their stay in Portland. These are transcripts that were released during Ethan's court hearings. From what we can gather from this information, it seems Nicole has placed greater emphasis on the business transaction side of this commission. At least from this, we can gather there is no clear evidence that Nicole agrees with the Proud Boys ideology. Also, from the leaked transcripts, it should be noted that Ambi was more enthusiastic and hands on in their dealings with the Proud Boys and their activities, while Billy leaned more neutral. The court hearings revealed that the Cunning Hairs were responsible for the harassment of protesters and groups clashing against Proud Boys members. They were also held liable for causing commotion and using force against Portland State University students who opposed Proud Boys activities. They also mentioned an attempted break-in to an apartment off of Southwest Madison Street, who was suspected to be rented by a local Antifa leader. The Cunning Hairs activities during the march. We touched a little bit of their activities in the last section, but we will be delving deeper into their activities, diving deeper into their activities here in this section. Throughout the event, the Cunning Hairs were cited in the march. This is presumably after they completed their tasks and because it was required by the commission to be seen visibly in the march. In various photos, Billy can be seen holding large American flags. MB could be seen brandishing her firearms at multiple photographers, and Nicole having conversations with what can be presumed to be high ranking Proud Boys leaders. The Cunning Hairs appear to have been most active in the Portland State University area, as that is where most of their activity was recorded and seen. Students recorded and filed complaints regarding Ambi as she got into multiple fistfights on campus grounds. Multiple students were bruised and bloodied and required medical attention. Thankfully, there were no fatalities. The reason for these conflicts was Ambi's anger at the lack of support amongst the student population towards the ongoing Proud Boys March. During the day of the march, Billy uploaded a picture to his social media of himself at a nearby Billie Eilish concert. He has since taken the post down, but records of it were obtained and used by the police at Ethan's hearing. It seems that the main purpose of the Cutting Hairs Commission was to gauge the reactions and actions of far left groups operating in the area. While there are no reports of conflicts between the Cutting Hairs and far left leaders, Ethan has confessed that the Cutting Hairs were to stalk high ranking far left members and infiltrate suspected locations of far left assemblies, such as private residences, churches, and stores. With this example, we cannot yet establish a definitive link between Nicole and far right or far left extremism. The Cutting Hairs were involved in election voting fraud. There is proof and evidence of the Cutting Hairs' involvement in election voting fraud during the 2024 election cycle. The FBI has built a profile of Cutting Hairs' activities during the election cycle and have found multiple instances of the Cutting Hairs manipulating and tampering with election ballots and machines. Leaked documents show that they were contracted by both far left and far right extremist groups, including the Proud Boys and Antifa. They have conducted election voting fraud in multiple cities throughout the country and are wanted by multiple police departments and the FBI. One of the cities the Cutting Hairs were prominent in was St. Louis and the St. Louis debacle. On an early Tuesday morning on November 3rd, 2024, Pulse station workers working at Woodward Elementary School discovered three intruders, the Cutting Hairs tampering with voting machines. The Cutting Hairs fled the scene in a gray 2016 Chevy Traverse. The polling station workers called the police quickly, and the police engaged in a 5-hour-long pursuit throughout the St. Louis, Jefferson, and Franklin counties, 3 counties. It was reported that a white-haired girl, presumably Ambi, lobbed at least 13 explosive devices at the police throughout the chase and made several derogatory hand signals towards their pursuers. Multiple police departments in the St. Louis metropolitan area has posted rewards for information that leads to their arrest. Another city that the Cutting Hairs were prominent in was Las Vegas. During the 2024 U.S. general election cycle, the Cutting Hairs were contracted by Antifa to assassinate Las Vegas mayoral candidate Timothy Smokes during the election cycle. Timothy Smokes was an outspoken critic of the far left. They were offered $800,000 US and 3 tickets to a Billie Eilish concert, with the latter half presumably being a condition set by Billie. The method of assassination was planting explosives underneath the hood of Smokes' blue 2020 Toyota Camry. The assassination attempt failed as the hastily created IED's primers failed to go off. The police later recovered the IED, which was a Pringle can filled with nothing but gunpowder. After the attempt on Smoke's life, a St. Louis native who was vacationing in Vegas cited the Cutting Hairs playing blackjack at Caesar's Palace. She noted that they were dropping tens of thousands of dollars per hand, and that Ambi was screaming and getting hostile with staff and security. She called the police, but they were kicked out of the casino before police could arrive. Billy was reported to the police multiple times for public displays of indecency after multiple sightings of him pissing in alleyways. A homeless man off of West Alibaba Lane reported to the police that his mug of $16 was filled with nothing but piss, and that he saw a man in a red jacket walking away. So, does Nicole carry extremist ideologies? What do we gain from all this? I think we can conclude that the video game character Nicole Demara does not carry extremist ideologies, but She is willing to work with extremist groups on both ends of the political spectrum in order to make money, in order to profit. The same cannot be said for Ambi, as she was seen and noted by police agencies and the FBI to be heavily sympathetic to organizations of the far right, such as the Proud Boys. Ambi is also prone and quick to employ harsh, violent tactics that further the agenda of far right ideologies. Billy does not mind as long as he can watch Billie Eilish live in concert and drink some alcohol. Bell and Wise found dead in Rochester, New York. All right, before we end off real quick, I wanted to go over the schedule for this week. The Aether Femboy Bussy 23 research paper has been extended to the 13th because of concerns of workloads in other classes. Just remember, I care for you guys. I want you to succeed, and I have listened to you. So the paper due date has been pushed back by 2 days. I hope this lets you guys do a better job on this paper. And remember, please, please come to office hours. If you find yourself struggling, we can talk and I can help you. The Acts of Terror through the lens of Linnae quiz is due on the 10th. Make sure to get started on that if you haven't already. Some of you have already turned it in. That is great. Next lecture will be Bell and Wise's involvement in the invasion of Ukraine. That will be on Thursday, the 11th. Make sure to attend it if you can. It will be a crucial lecture for this semester and class. But that's it. If you have any questions, my office hours are right after this lecture, so please, please feel free to stop by. Any concerns, any questions, if you just want to talk, I am here. I can talk. But yeah, take it easy, everyone. Make sure to do your homework. Make sure to get started on that paper if you haven't already. And peace. I'll see you at the next lecture.